the concept that the economic Babylon of Revelation 18 had to be the United States. I mean, I took all the statistics given in Revelation 18, and I typed them up, printed them out on a piece of paper, and I handed it to a local businessman, very astute, very, very successful businessman. He was a Christian. And I said, look at these statistics.
Yeah.
And I said, tell me if there's one nation on earth today that fits these statistics. That fit, and he looked he read them over, and he said, there's only one country on earth that could fill this, that could fit these statistics, and that's the United States. I mean, the economy dominates the rest of the world.
Yes.
It makes all the foreign merchants rich. And it brings most of its goods in by boat, by ship. And it's a complex economy. It's a rich economy. It talks about all the things that are in that economy, and one of the things that is mentioned. Now remember, this was written 2,000 years ago. One of the things that's mentioned that this economy imports by sea are conveyances. And when I looked up the word conveyances in the Strong's Concordance, it means cars, vehicles.
Vehicles, way to get around.
Do we import any vehicles, guys?
Number one car manufacturer, Toyota.
Yeah. I mean, we import, I think it's like 20 million cars a year. It's an incredible statistic. But furthermore, this nation is, also imports wicked, immoral values to the world.
Yeah.
Do we do that? Of course we do. American culture, starting in the late 60s and all the way through the 70s and 80s, our rock and roll culture, laced with all sorts of Satanism, was exported to the other peoples of the world.
Not to mention all the clandestine things this nation has done over the years to many other countries.
Right. Exactly. So this fits America like a T. I mean, it just fits like a glove.
And David, if people aren't familiar what we're talking about, chapter 18 in the Revelations is talking about God bringing wrath on a specific country, right?
Right. He's going to destroy this economic Babylon in 1 hour through fire. So that you ask what America's
future is.
What our future is. That's our future.
Very
it's
bright.
Interesting. I've had several people that the Lord has brought into my life. That were former Satanists and that are now born again Christians. And one of them, was a lady, and we were talking. We were talking in, like, if I remember right, it was like February of 2000. We were talking about a lot of things. Our phone call lasted several hours, and one out of the clear blue sky, she said, David, her father was in Freemasonry and Illuminized Freemasonry all of his life. And he knew the New World Order plan very well. Mm-hmm. And he warned her several times. He said, when you see Antichrist appear east of Jerusalem, he said, you've got 12 days to get out of this country, because on day 13, America is going to be destroyed by fire. I nearly dropped out. I nearly fell off my chair. I mean, that was out of the clear blue sky. I didn't prompt it. Had no idea that piece of revelation was coming.
There is a warning in chapter 18 to get out of the country, to get out of there.
Yeah, come out of her, my people. Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, there is a warning. And it speaks about once the wrath comes down, and it says it's going to be done by other nations. God will put it in the hearts of kings or leaders of other nations to bring destruction upon her. And it says that ships and merchants who have become very wealthy off of their dealings with this country will weep because they see the smoke rise and realize, where are we going to sell our goods? Where are we going to get rich?
As part of my study in 1992, I studied the economies of the rest of the world, the rest of the developed world, to see if any of those nations or a combination of those nations could step into the void left by the United States. And there's nobody.
Yeah, even with our decline, David, even with our recession, still it would probably take decades, if not longer, for some other country to fit this description, right?
Well, see, every other country taxes its people too much. America, for all of our hue and cry about taxes, we are taxed less than England or Europe or anywhere else on earth. Japan. The people in these other countries don't have the disposable income to spend like we do. Yeah. And they don't have the mindset that they can have a car for 1 year and trade it in for another.
Yeah.
I mean, they buy a car, and they intend that car to last them for 15 years. Well, that doesn't stimulate sales.
No.
So there's no country that can replace this country once we're destroyed.
It also talks about the haughtiness of the nation, the pride, the conceit of the nation.
Yeah, I was in like I said, I was in retail and management, and in this company in Portland, Oregon, headquartered in Portland, and I met the presidents and vice presidents of sales of many, many, many companies, and I want to tell you that haughtiness and arrogance was their mindset.
Yeah.
And they believed that they would would never see hard times. That just like what the Bible says there in Revelation 18, she sits as a queen and she says, "I will never know want." Mm-hmm. And that's exactly the way they felt.
And David, you feel this really has to happen in order for, as we said, setting up a new world order. And there's also a prophecy that you mentioned earlier that Russia will come down to attack Israel, and that could only happen if Israel's big brother, the U.S., is out of the picture, right? Right.
Bible scholars have said, and I agree with them, that it's inconceivable that Russia could systematically lead an army on a several month march to Israel from the north and the south, unless the United States is neutralized. And I agree with that. In Daniel 7:7-8, you'll see the prophecy that the world is reorganized at the very end of the age into 10 supernations. And the Illuminati has that plan to reorganize the world to do exactly 10 supernations. Europe has, the European Union is nation number 2. The nation number 1 on the list is the North American Union, NAFTA. And on they go until they reorganize the whole. They've got this plan they're working on to reorganize all the nations of the world into exactly 10. And then the prophecy said, after those 10 are formed, then Antichrist will arise, and then 3 of the original 10 superpowers, supernations, will be utterly plucked up and destroyed.
Right.
And so I certainly think, we know that Russia and Eastern Europe in the Illuminati plan is nation number 5. We know that they're going to be destroyed when their armies are on the borders of Israel, ready to launch an attack, and God